The Jersey Shore is home to the Forsythe National Wildlife Refuge System. We discuss this great opportunity for you and your family to enjoy what it has to offer. It's all here on the next Latino Motion. Join us.
Choose to get lost in the woods to gain experience in forest management.
Choose to travel through time to understand the past.
Choose to soar to pursue a career in dance.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation, and Stockton University. This edition of Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is brought to you by the HD Studios at the campus of Stockton University.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, offering primary, specialty, and urgent care, plus surgery and more. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.
Welcome to Latino Motion, a weekly interview show highlighting issues impacting New Jersey's Latino community while advancing understanding of Latino cultural heritage and contributions to our society. And here is your host, Bert Lopez.
Buenos dias and welcome to Latino Motion. I'm happy to have as my guest Virginia Retten. She is the refuge manager of the National Wildlife Refuge locally here, just in Galloway Township and Brick in Southern Ocean. Virginia, it's such a pleasure to have you here on Latino Motion.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
So we have this beautiful gem off the coast of New Jersey that, quite frankly, lived here most of my life. And believe it or not, I have not been there yet. But after your outreach, certainly to me and others, we learn a lot more about this beautiful gem at the shore. Tell me a little bit about what the refuge is.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, the refuge has been here for 82 years, 83 years now. We just celebrated the 80th anniversary a few years ago. And it's largely a lot of marsh habitat that we see maybe when we're driving around on Garden State Parkway or on some of our side roads. But we go from Brick Township, way up in the north, all the way down here to Galloway Township, those 50 miles of the New Jersey shore. And the purpose for the refuge initially, of course, was to provide habitat for wildlife, for our migratory birds like black ducks and Atlantic brant, because those birds were dwindling back 80 years ago.
So essentially, it's not a national park, it's a national refuge. What's the difference?
Yeah, in a national wildlife refuge system, we have about over 550 in the country, all over the place. And the primary purpose is to be focusing on that wildlife habitat, and ensuring that the needs of that wildlife comes first. But then soon after that priority, we want to get into providing opportunities for the public to enjoy that wildlife and to engage in wildlife observation and enjoyment.
So there is the opportunity for folks to visit the refuge. So it's not a preserve, no trespassing sign. I mean, I'm sure there's some restrictions, but you do welcome visitors.
We do. We have specific areas where we can focus on providing visitors, comforts, and then we have a lot of areas that are close to the public, so we can focus on keeping those areas just for wildlife. So it's a nice balance.
So what kind of wildlife do we have at the refuge?
Well, we have so many birds. We have so many types of birds. And I have to say, we get asked all the time, what's the best time of year to visit Forsythe Refuge? And my answer is always every day. It could be the middle of winter like it is now. We have snow geese and ducks and maybe a snowy owl if we're lucky. And then, of course, in spring, we get all these little songbirds migrating through. And we get the shorebirds. And then in the summer, we see all those herons and egrets with those long legs. So really, any time of the year is wonderful to visit. And that's what you want to do. You want to enjoy the birds, you want to enjoy the wildlife, and just really being outside, just looking at green and enjoying watching a butterfly fly by, things like that.
Certainly, when we're looking for things to do as families, right? This is certainly a great opportunity to bring out the family, get outdoors, particularly as we're winding down here in COVID. People do want to get out. We're approaching the summer, and like you said, it's sort of year round, but there's great opportunities for people to come and visit.
Yeah, and especially really in this kind of winter, spring, fall period. We know in the summer people go to the beach mostly, and we do this little thing called a greenhead that flies around that can be a little annoying in July and August. But it is such a great time of year to come out and pack up the family, pack up the friends, and take a ride over to Forsythe.
Now, what kind of visitors do you typically have at the refuge?
We are really a well-known bird watching area. So we often get a lot of people who come from all over the country and the world to come by here. We're actually the seventh most visited national wildlife refuge in the United States, believe it or not.
Wow.
Because of the wonderful wildlife viewing opportunities that we have. So we get a lot of use around that use of enjoying the wildlife drive.
Do you get to see other wildlife other than birds?
Yes, absolutely. Muskrats, and you might see, I've seen a skunk off the wildlife drive with a fox, and some of these things. And sometimes it's just fun to sit and observe. You might have a bald eagle swoop in, grab a fish, or there's a fight of two bald eagles fighting over a fish. So lots of neat interactions.
I could imagine that photography will probably be a big hit for this area.
It is. And, try to encourage people because we get all ranges, right? So you get these photographers with these huge lenses that are very, very good at what they do. But we also try to encourage, just bring your cell phone. Just bring your phone, take photos, because you never know what you'll get. And these days, you don't need a whole lot to take a nice photo. And it's just fun to play around. So don't think you have to have fancy equipment to come out and do some of that.
Now, I know that you are familiar with a lot of the refuge. In fact, watching it, I understand you were in Colombia not too long ago, doing some bird watching. Tell me about that.
Yes, I actually have been to a few countries in Central, and this was my first trip to South America. So I've been to Panama a few times, Costa Rica, Belize, Trinidad and Tobago, and now Colombia on this trip just last week. And I love bird watching, and I love going to Central Latin American countries, especially, and now South America. And my favorite, of course, I go for the birds, but the people are always so wonderful. The culture is so fabulous and engaging. The food is wonderful. And it's just a whole different way of living that I really adore. And so I had the best time. I got to see Bogota for the first time, and what a difference. I went to this city of 10 million people. It's huge. Right. And then we flew in a plane and we went to the eastern side of the country, and I was in the Amazon basin where there was just one small little, community called Inírida, which is on the Inírida River, and got to see some birds that most people haven't seen. So it was wonderful. Thank you.
So certainly, I'm sure that there in Colombia, there were some unique birds that may not be found anywhere else. How about here at the refuge? Any specific bird or wildlife that you think is primarily found here?
Well, in terms of wildlife viewing, so birds that we can see if we go out today and look around, we're very well known for those ducks we get in the winter, and the geese and big flocks of birds. But the refuges I want to share also really important for an endangered species called the piping plover, which is this little tiny plover that is out on our beaches in Holgate and Little Beach, right on our beaches along the Atlantic Ocean. And the refuge actually hosts over 40% of the population of that bird in the state of New Jersey.
Wow.
Even though that's not open to the public because it's so sensitive, we are doing a lot of work that the public doesn't get to see. That is still, though, critically important. So that is a really important part of what we do here. But absolutely, there'll be the other neat thing about Forsythe, I should say, is we get rare birds. So it's a big wetland complex right next to the ocean. And so these birds are migrating, and we might all of a sudden get some rarity that shows up, and then we'll get 500 people out on the wildlife drive to see that.
Well, it sounds exciting. We do want to talk about some of the other opportunities you have there at the Wildlife Refuge. And we're going to just take a quick break. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.
Welcome back to Latino Motion. We'll continue our discussion regarding the Wildlife Refuge that's right here in our neighborhood in Galloway and all the way up to Brick Township in Ocean County. Virginia, we were talking about some of the wonderful things that visitors could see, particularly birds. Bird watching may not necessarily be a Latino thing, but certainly, a lot of us do appreciate nature. And tell me a little bit more about some of the other interesting things that folks could do when they come out, and also how you're attempting to get more of a diverse audience to the refuge.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So you're right. Not everyone is a bird watcher, but I know that almost everyone I've ever talked to is once they get outside and just take time to enjoy nature, that's all it is.
Right.
I know we, as a matter of fact, get people come out almost every day just to look, just to take a relief and a break from all the stress and all the things we have to do every day, just to enjoy it. So that's all we want, people to really do. However, we also do provide hunting opportunities, and I certainly encourage people to contact the refuge to see what other things we do. We have a visitor center as a little gift shop in it, and people can learn about the refuge and the things that we're doing. We go to some schools when we can. We have a pretty small education program, but we do have some relationships with Pleasantville schools that we go to. But I say all that because we've kind of had a certain model we've used all these years about how we, the refuge system, choose to engage with the public, with our community. And what we're trying to do now is maybe shift that a little bit and look a little bit differently at how we make those connections.
Yeah, that's great. And quite frankly, I appreciate you reaching out to the Latino community to try to get them more involved. I know that Dr. Pedro Santana has been representing the Hispanic Association in a committee that you started to improve the diversity and attract more people to the refuge. Tell me about that effort in terms of trying to motivate more people and particularly get that diversity.
I think the last couple of years, as difficult as they've been, have been opportunistic to, I think there's a different spotlight on how we as Americans engage and what we recognize as being a part of our American culture, and recognizing and honoring all of the cultures that are here in present. And so last year we did a little online seminar to talk about how can we be a place for all? How can Forsythe National Wildlife Refuge become a place for all? Because we know historically we've done a really great job providing opportunities for community members that tend to be more affluent, maybe have a lot of education, no problem driving a car to the refuge. They can come anytime. They're white and older. So that's great. And that support has been so long-standing. But how can we tweak that a little bit and be interesting for anybody? And so we started asking. And really the first case question was, how do we do that? And so we've done we've created this committee that Dr. Santana is on and others to just start talking about that. So now we're kind of in a place where we want to take the talk. We want to start the do part. And so this is a piece of that. It's getting out, increasing our awareness to all of the communities around us. And within, we're focusing on Atlantic County right now. because this is where most of the work we do is, but we're looking to expand that as well. And the point is to really reach out, kind of declare that, hey, we're here, but we aren't going to tell you how to come enjoy the refuge. Yes, there are certain things we do, and there's some things we cannot do. We're a national wildlife refuge.
Exactly.
Framework. What is it that our community members would like to be doing as a part of what we do with us? And then can we step out of the refuge and go into our community, which I think is where we're going to have a pretty big impact. But we want to hear and listen first about how are those ways that we can engage.
Well, that's certainly wonderful news, and certainly the really appreciative of the inclusiveness that you're trying to achieve there. And part of it is getting the word out, isn't it? Educating people what's available right here in their backyard. So I just want to go back a little bit to some of the activities that you mentioned, because I think that as people get to know more of what's there, they may get more enthusiastic about going. You mentioned the hiking. Tell me a little bit about that. I mean, is this unguided? Is it guided? Yep. How long of a hike is it? Can you talk me through a little bit of that?
That's great. So right here in Galloway, where we have the wildlife drive, get in your car and drive. But if you come and stop and park at our visitor center, we have actually several trails. We have trails that are wheelchair accessible. We have a little short boardwalk that's really fun to overlook the marsh. We also have a short loop trail that's probably not more than about a third of a mile. And then we have another trail that's about 2.5 to 5 miles long, depending on how long you want to make it. Now, right now, those tend to be unguided, but that's where we want to work with the communities to see if there's ways to work with community organizations that would like to come and have us host them so that they can come out and feel welcome, get the lay of the land, get a little orientation instead of sort of just saying, well, we're here, come and enjoy yourself. So that's kind of what we're looking to do a little bit more of than we've done in the past.
And
the
in the refuge,
is wonderful.
in the refuge, by the way, you also have opportunities for fishing and hunting. Tell me a little bit about that. Is that obviously for the hunting, you probably need a license. There's a season for it, So walk me through some of those activities. Absolutely.
But our fishing is a little limited, but we do have a wonderful lake called Lily Lake. We're going to be working on getting a fishing pier here in the future. Right now, though, it's really great if you have a kayak or a stand-up paddleboard and you want to just push a little boat in with a trolling motor, just something to get in the water, nothing fancy, and you can fish in that lake. And that's right near our headquarters area. And of course, there's surf fishing on places like Holgate, where you go down the beach and then you can just fish right in the ocean if you'd like to. Hunting is something we've been doing here for years. We have a wonderful hunting program for primarily deer, but also waterfowl, and we also allow squirrel now. And that, of course, requires all of the state permits that you need. There's also a refuge permit. But, that's a case where we've kind of said in the past, well, here's our hunting program. If you want to enjoy, go enjoy it. But is there a constituency that really wants to, but maybe doesn't know how to get started? And so is there an organization we can work with, or we can specifically focus on that and with a partner to make that happen and give some comfort there and some knowledge? And I think there is. And so those are some of the things we're looking to do, is just to have people challenge us on how do I do this activity? I need support to do this activity. How can the refuge help? So that's what we're really looking to try to do more of.
Yeah, we do want to talk about how other organizations, and particularly members of the Latino community, could get more involved with what's happening there at the refuge. Your outreach to get someone like Dr. Santana, engaged in that committee. Thank you so much for doing that and getting and including us in that. And certainly there are other things that we could do to help to spread the word. And I'm just thrilled that we have this gem here. And we just need to let people know. And I'll be looking forward to make a visit soon. But we're going to take a quick break. We want to continue this discussion. We'll be right back with more Latino Motion. Welcome back to Latino Motion. We continue our discussion with the manager of the National Refuge, Wildlife Refuge. It's right here in our backyard, so to speak, all the way up to Brick. And Virginia, we were talking about engaging more of the community. Certainly, I look forward to continuing that dialogue and engagement. We talked about some of the great, amazing things that you're doing to attract more visitors and really for visitors to enjoy the wildlife there, whether it's hiking, taking a wildlife drive, being able to fish and photography, etc. What is your role in terms of helping to preserve some of the extinct wildlife here in New Jersey?
Forsythe Refuge is over 48,000 acres big. So we have a variety of habitats that are really important. There's birds in the salt marsh, for example, that are really struggling because of climate change and sea level rise. They nest right in that marsh, and if there's a big push of water, they don't make it. Their nests drown. So doing a lot of research on these kinds of things and habitat work that the public doesn't see, but it's so critically important.
Yeah, how do you engage with the public in terms of that type of work, the work that you do in terms of helping preserve the wildlife in New Jersey?
Yeah, I think it's really, so certainly we have a lot of partners that are all working on these things, and the partners in New Jersey are amazing. There's so much knowledge and so much work being done across all of the landscape on these very important and challenging issues. But our job is really to communicate that with the public. The public should be informed, and they should know that there is a lot of work being done so that those marshes are there. You know, those marshes are important for stormwater protection. And if you're in a flooded area and you have habitat there, it allows the water to drain off in a big rainstorm. So these developed areas are really important for us all.
You mentioned climate change, obviously a big deal. And sometimes it's the younger folks who get it, right? I know my son reminds me, you need to recycle that, or don't waste water or something to that effect. It's my son who's reminding me of that. So there seems to be more of that inclination with the youth, and you're getting the youth involved. Tell me about what you're doing to get the youth involved.
Well, we have a wonderful program in the summertime. We have a summer program. We have a couple of intern positions, but we particularly have what we call the Youth Conservation Corps program, which is directed towards high school age children who want to work outside all summer and be a part of a team. And the work can be anything from trail work, like we've been talking about our trails, building fences or building areas, improving parking areas. And there's always one day a week, there's always kind of a fun component where they might go visit an important cultural or natural site nearby with the team leader. And so actually those positions will probably go up for advertisement in the next month or two, as this is a summer program. And we really want to ensure that we get a great pool of kids to come out. Again, this is high school age, great opportunity, first job for many of the kids. And it's always a really fun experience.
So if someone wanted to get information, say on that program for the youth, where should they reach? Say a website or phone number?
Yeah, I would say just reach out to me at the Refuge. I think that's the most straightforward thing. Our number is in, it's pretty straightforward, 609-652-1665. But we also, on that program, we work with a company or an organization called American Conservation Experience. So if you Google that, that opportunity will come up soon. But please reach out to us so we can get them the information when it's available.
Now, you do have a schedule of activities that are taking place. Can you walk us through some of those?
I wanted to share a couple. Certainly since COVID, we've been really slow on our list of things that we're doing with the public. But we're kind of, again, with this initiative to try to be seen more in our community in different events. There's a couple of fun things coming up that we're going to take part in. So We're going to be taking part in the Atlantic City Easter egg hunt, and that's on April 16th. And we're going to have probably a craft table, some fun activity table set up to talk about the refuge and just meet with the community. We're also going to be a part of the community, the day and cleanup and party that the Stockton University is hosting in Atlantic City on April 23rd. And we're going to actually have our blow-up archery set. And so people can come out and do archery right there in the park where we're hosting that. That event is being hosted.
Is archery one of the activities available at the refuge?
Yeah, we don't have those right now, but the one other event we are going to have is 7th. We're going to have our Hooked on Fishing, Not on Drugs, and this is our annual fishing for children activity. And I really encourage people to call us to sign up for that. That doesn't require sign up. It's limited. It's in Galloway at Patriot Lake. And again, contact the refuge and sign up. But that's a great fishing event for children, for families, for children and families to come out. And we always have a lot of fun.
Well, Stanley, it sounds like you have a lot of great things planned. When is the best time to visit? Is it early morning, afternoon? What's your guidance in terms of when is the best time to visit the refuge?
Yeah, typically they say the earlier in the day, the better, because there's a lot of activities. But, I'm not necessarily the best morning person myself. So I have found that, especially if you go around the wildlife drive, it really is an all-day event. And it's almost a little tied more to the tides, because the tides come in and out and have different things going on. But I have to say, my favorite time of the day is that sunset time, where you can look out the sunsets over the Atlantic City skyline. And it really is a beautiful time of day, 4 or 5 o'clock to come out.
Virginia, we want to put your website and certainly your contact information on the screen once again. But this is wonderful information. We have a gem right here in our backyard. We want to make sure that people come out and enjoy it, particularly families. When you have something so close and not taking advantage of it, we certainly want to do that, take advantage of it. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you. Everyone is welcome. Thanks so much, Bert.
All right. And thank you for joining us at home once again here on Latino Motion.
Choose to get your feet wet, to learn more about protecting our environment.
Choose to read minds, to understand the human brain.
Choose to get your hands dirty, to create a masterpiece.
Stockton University offers 50 high-quality academic programs, small class sizes, and affordable tuition. Choose to match your interests and talents at one of New Jersey's nationally ranked universities.
Funding for Latino Motion is provided by Atlanticare, offering primary, specialty, and urgent care, plus surgery and more. Atlantic City Electric, energy for a changing world. And South Jersey Gas.
Latino Motion with Bert Lopez is presented by Latino Motion Public Affairs Media, a New Jersey nonprofit corporation. Join us online at www.latinomotion.tv. Find us on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. We encourage your comments and contributions for show topics.